This is the Triheart Podcast, episode 25, with Twill, Distilled, and featured music by Don't Blink or You'll Die. I'll just start with the same question I always start with everybody. So Twill Distilled, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name's Twill Distilled. Some people call me Twill. I am a nerdcore / dirty pop artist. I do solo stuff, which is more on the pop side of things. And then I'm also in a nerdcore rap group called Wreck the System, and we're based out of the Washington, D.C. area.
And I have like 1,000 questions for you about Wreck the System, but you preluded this interview with we should not be talking about Wreck the System at all because we're actually the meat of the interview will be about Mag Pact.
Correct. And just to preface, and I apologize, I've had a lot of messages come my way this past few weeks, and some of the whisperings of the community that has been sent my way is that there were a few individuals who felt that I was using Mag Pact as a way to promote myself and to further my, audience. And that certainly is not the case, but I didn't feel like it was fair to get on here and say, hi, I'm Twill, and I sing, you should check out my, and then be like, oh, by the way, we're doing this, thing, but go check, it just, right. It doesn't seem to really mesh with the message that we're trying to put out there. So I'm Italian and I love to talk, and I can talk about myself all day, but this is certainly not the time to talk about myself. So. But I'd be more than glad on another episode to give you the tea.
That is good because I love you guys, and Yeah, Wreck the System is so dope. But that kind of reminds me of like this little meme I saw today. It was like all these illustrations describing America. This is actually kind of a reach now that I'm saying it, but like it's like this guy with a selfie stick and he's like taking a picture of himself and like he's giving like $10 to a homeless person. So like he's trying in the image, like he's trying to like get clout from like good deeds.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I know that was a reach.
I totally know what you mean. I think we see a lot of it on social media where people are like fake activists. Like, it's always the typical, and I hate to be like a girl pulling down other girls. I don't typically stand for that. But you have the stereotypical Instagram girl who like goes to a protest just to take a selfie at the protest, just to post about it on social media.
Right.
So, right. No, I completely understand what you mean by that. Sometimes I think people unfortunately do that. They try to pretend to be an activist or care about something because it looks good or it's quote, good for their image. And
yeah.
In the rap community, we call that fronting.
Fronting.
It's never good to front, right?
That's actually a really cool topic. Okay, I actually want to come back to that. That's
cool.
I don't know whether to start with like tell me about your MagFest experience or tell me about like what you're doing with MagPact. Which one do you think is more appropriate to start with?
I will definitely start with my MagFest experience because this is the one big point I've been trying to make clear about MagPact is that even though we are standing together to do something, and we'll obviously talk about that a little later on in this interview, I love MagFest. I don't want MagFest to die. This is not a, I don't want to call it a movement because I don't want it to sound like, edgelord or anything like crazier than it is. But like the whole point of MagPact is not to like kill MagFest. It's not to, drive a stake through the heart or anything like that. But, it's to hopefully fix some issues of what's going on. But I will certainly talk about how much I love MagFest. MagFest, my experience with MagFest for the most part has been pretty awesome. It hasn't always been perfect. I think like any journey in the road, there's bound to be bumps along the way. But, the birth of my group was at MagFest. Osiris's first convention ever, because he had never been to any convention, was MagFest.
Oh shit.
Originally the group wasn't even going to be a group. We ended up getting booked as like a showcase sort of thing at a private party at MagFest, and people just assumed we were a group. And if it wasn't for MagFest, Wreck the System wouldn't be a nerdcore group. And that's part of what breaks my heart about all of this is because I feel like I'm being this huge jerk by getting a lot of people to stand together and boycott, but at the same time, like I have so much love and respect for the community and what MagFest really stands for that I couldn't be quiet anymore. So, but the one great thing about conventions in general is that typically you can go and for a few days you can truly be yourself. You're coming here, you're going to meet friends, you're going to hang out with friends, you can be yourself, you can geek out, you can do a Colossus roar in the hallway, and nobody, unless it's like in a quiet area, no one's going to bat an eye at you, right? It's truly a safe space, and it's honestly one of my favorite events of the year. And they also do a bunch of other events throughout the year. It's not just Super Mag anymore. Our yearly summer quote vacation is Magstock, which is yeah, they have a 3-day camping event in Louisa, Virginia, I believe. And it's like if somebody took MagFest and put it out in the woods, it's one of my favorite events. So I did not do what I'm doing. Like it was not taken lightly. I absolutely love MagFest. But with that said, MagFest to me is not just a convention. MagFest is a community. It's a bunch of video game musicians coming together. It's a bunch of indie game developers coming together. It is a community, and it is truly a spirit that I have never seen at any other convention, which is why I think in part that it's such a strong convention and there's such a strong fan group of the con itself. So that, I guess, could be my little wrap-up summary of how I feel about MagFest and my experience with them without too much self-promotion or anything like that.
It's so true. Like I hate conventions. I do them, but like I hate PAX. I hate like being crowded with all those people, but something is contradictory about MagFest. And I say this all the time. It's like, I don't look forward to anything. I'm actually like a jerk in that way, but I noticed there was like a void this winter inside of me, and I realized even today when I was thinking about our interview that we should be at MagFest like right now, like right.
Oh, it's killing me because all like I've been going, I think this year would have been year 6 for me going.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been going for the past 5 years. And so all of this week and all of next week, all of my Facebook memories have been this year, this day 2 years ago, this day, and it's to the point where like my husband will come to conventions with us sometimes. And like even he on his own phone, because he's got a Google phone, was getting Google notifications today, this day 2 years ago, all these like stage photos popping up. It's heartbreaking. Like it is so heartbreaking because I'm like, not only should we be here right now, like I don't want to endure what the community is enduring right now.
Right.
It'd be one thing if this was like in the middle of summer and away from like when MagFest usually is and things like that, but like it's just like a double stabbing motion into my heart, I guess,
So true.
So, I mean, I remember I was at Christmas and I ended up texting my sister and I was like, it is so weird that we are not, because my sister runs the vendor booth, right? She's done vendor space. Yeah. So she's been doing vendor stuff for years and always ends up luckily getting into the vendor space at MagFest. So usually Christmas is her and I like sitting at a table bitching about like all the shit we have to get done before MagFest, and she's like, oh my god, I'm sewing and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm making costumes and getting, we've been practicing and blah, 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 and like this Christmas it was like, so yeah, how's it going?
Okay, so I'm assuming this has to do with Friends of Mag, but like in your eyes, like what is the problem? What's the problem with MagFest?
Okay, so this is just, and I have to say these things for like legal reasons. This is just my opinion. My opinion does not reflect anybody else. It does not reflect upon my bandmates. It does not reflect upon the many, many, many people that signed this pact. I am friends with a lot of people who work on MAG staff. And when I say MAG staff, I don't mean just paid positions. I'm talking about volunteers. I'm talking about department heads. Every rung on the, I guess, staff ladder, you could say, from first level volunteer all the way up to people who are actually on the board at MAG. I am friends with all of these people. So I hear and see a lot of it. And this has been, in my opinion, a problem that has been ongoing for years. Now, I am not there personally. I don't hear or see these things firsthand, but I have been told in confidence, and I have heard of allegations of either intimidation, firing, creating a hostile work environment. They will fire staff, and it's an ongoing cycle of bringing new people in, chewing them up, spitting them out. And, you know, this first came to my attention a few years ago with one of the people who worked in the music department. Her name was Cheney. And if you talk to pretty much anyone on staff, they know about the Cheney situation. We still to this day have never been given a reason for why Cheney was fired. And Cheney was pretty up there. She was fired and wasn't really given a reason, as far as I know. But it was pretty out of nowhere, and a lot of us were really hurt, and a lot of us were really upset, and it caused the first wave of people to kind of give up and leave. And then a few years later, I watched it happen again with the people who used to be the department heads, I believe, of the music department, which they're known as the Hoods, Aaron. And yeah. And they sent, which in my opinion was a pretty reasonable request, which is, you know, we spend a lot of our life, a lot of time, a lot of energy and effort into running this event, and we don't get paid anything. We are effectively volunteers. They weren't asking for a lot. They were just asking for some sort of compensation. And I believe they gave MagFest a month or so to reply. And they said, if we don't get a response within this amount of time, we're walking. Mag didn't get back to the Hoods, and the Hoods walked. And I was heartbroken because the Hoods, in my opinion, you know, they have been the heart for the longest time, in my opinion, for a lot of the music stuff that went on at MAG. And they were such big supporters of the group, you know, of Rec.
Really?
Yeah, like I am just trying so hard not to like sound self-promoting. Our first MAG stock, they were there, and they stayed and watched our set, you know, like, and nobody knew who we were. And like, those are the things you remember. Like when you start from the very, very bottom and work your way up, and we're not anywhere near, you know, where we'd like to be or where some of our colleagues are, but like when you start at absolutely nothing and you see, you know, the few people in the audience who come to your first few sets, like you remember those people,
yeah,
right?
For sure.
You know, and anytime I needed advice or needed to vent or talk or anything, like those were people who were always like in our corner and I could talk to. And, you know, we may not have always seen eye to eye on things, especially when it comes to certain types of cereal. They'll understand that joke. You know, like it hurt, you know. So, and then most recently they fired Deb and a handful of other people. Deb was actually paid staff, and who was stepping in, I believe, as the event director until Paul came in. And it was again, you know, this is the third time in 4 to 5 years that I've seen a huge turnover in staff. This is a person I was friends with, you know, and I said on Twitter, you know, I was really saddened and confused by Cheney. I was upset and hurt over the Hoods. and just sure and dead made me angry, just flat out angry. Like, and so what happens is that new staff will come on or whatever, people will work their way up because it's MagFest. Everyone knows a MagFest. I want to work for MagFest. MagFest is great, blah, 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 blah. But you don't hear about these staff issues until you become staff or you become friends with people who are on staff, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a first-year volunteer who has no idea of anything that's going on, because this has never come onto your timeline, you know, jump in whole hog wanting to help or fix or do whatever, and before you know it, you've been chewed up and spat out by the system that you were trying to get involved with and fix in the first place. And I've seen so many people, so many of my own friends who join staff and they say, well, that's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to let it. I'm coming in. I'm going to change. I'm going to help be the positive, you know, change I want to see. 2 years later, they're completely burnt out. They hate the organization.
Whoa.
They're completely upset. They don't know what to do. They either leave for good. I have seen this so many times. Like I can't even count. And I feel like the problem here is if you're friends with staff or if you're on staff, you know about these issues that are going on. You hear about it. You see it. People post about it. That's it. The general public never hears about it. Not too many people hear really much about it at all. And then it kind of gets brushed under the rug and nothing ever gets done. So what I decided to do was I wanted to fix that issue. You know, I said, how do we make the general public aware of this issue? Because if you think about a lot of other corporations aside from MagFest, like let's, for example, think about Chick-fil-A. Everyone loved Chick-fil-A until they found out where their money was going, and not so much anymore, right? So my thought was, if the general public knew how the board of directors at MAG was handling the staff issue and how staffers treating other staff members, how would they feel about giving their money and supporting a convention that did this? If you knew this was happening to your friends, if you knew your friend works for an organization like this, and it was constantly doing these immoral things that were wrong and continually hurt your friend, would you want to go to that convention anymore? I guarantee you, most people would say no. So what I challenged to do was I put together something, we kind of jokingly called it Mag Pact, and it kind of stuck, so I just kind of went with it. And it's a pact of, it originally, I should say, started as just musicians who were coming together and said, you know, part of MAG is music. MAG, M-A-G, stands for music and gaming. If you take the music out of the equation, you're just left with and gaming. So what would happen if musicians of the video game music community and MAG community came together and said, until you fix these problems, we are no longer performing for you? What would happen? So from there, I feel like if musicians stood together, took a stance, spoke out about it, that is one way that the general public would hear, learn, and listen about the issues that are currently happening on the inner workings of MagFest. So I set out and made a pact. I said, if you're interested in joining, I'd be more than glad to fill you in on what's going on. And for anyone who is listening and is not aware and is unable to decipher my crazy ramblings between monitors turning off and my husband standing up and down, you can go to friendsofmag.com. There are plenty of quote receipts, and there's plenty of documentation to prove the allegations that have been set forth towards for particular members of the board. And yeah, so I said, you know, if you want to come forward, if you want to stand with me on this pact, let me know. We're going to sign it. So I have a spreadsheet of a bunch of names. And when I feel like we have enough people, we're going to kind of assemble and come forward. We're going to present a public letter to the people at hand. And we're going to let them know, me and X amount of other artists are not interested in coming to your event, promoting your event, attending your event until this is fixed. and I did not expect it to get as big as it has gotten. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this week plays out. We're currently in contact with the people who run Friends of Mag, because really at the end of the day, this pact is just to stand by Friends of Mag. We're not coming forward to get anything additional out of this situation. It's just solely, hey, these are our friends on staff. This is not okay. We stand with these people. Please listen to them and address these issues, or we will not be performing at your events anymore. And it started off as musicians. It's now spread to people in vendor space. It is spread to other artisans, podcasts, content creators, YouTubers. I mean, it's majority of it has been musicians, but it is so slowly starting to spread out into other communities, which to me, it's kind of become whole circle, because like I said, MAG is really, it's a spirit, it's a community. It's not just con goers going to a con, it's a community. And, I think it's really cool that I was able to just aim this message at musicians. And I had so many other people from so many other communities be like, how do I get involved? I'm not a musician, but how do I get involved? And I was like, you know what? We'll figure it out. There's space for you here. So.
So what is like for the MAG pact? Like, how do you know when like the pact is complete? Like,
okay, so I don't really have an end goal for this. Like, if let's say like 1,000 people signed up, we're nowhere close to 1,000. But like, even if 1,000 people signed up and more people wanted to sign up, I would let it keep going. What I am hoping will happen is that we will put out the pact this week. That's the goal, to come public on Friday, which pulling up my calendar is January the 8th. But what I'm hoping is that this will be round one. We're going to post on social media about this, try to create awareness. I'm hoping more people will see about it. I feel like a lot of people don't even know about it. So it'll be interesting to see the social media reach. And seeing, if this gets on so many different timelines and gets in front of so many people, how many more people are going to come forward and speak up and sign this. So for me, MAG Pack will be officially over when Friends of MAG has said, hey, we've reached a conclusion. Things are good now. It's even written into the pact, like, this is not a pact that will last forever. If things, come to a positive end, it's a positive conclusion, things are fixed, we will wholeheartedly come back and tell the community, like, please come back, they fixed things. So, but that, in my opinion, is when it will be over. It's not really a campaign I'm trying to run forever and ever, but again, this was originally set up to help Friends of MAG. So if Friends of MAG continues to want our help and wants, people to be involved, then awesome. This is effectively a tool for them, and a community for them to, have their backs. If they say, hey, we're done, we're good, thank you, that's it. Take a bow, curtain call, that's it,
Okay, I might do this a couple times during the interview. So allow me to like take on like some Twitter comments or like Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, so what if I came at you and I was like, Twill Distilled, that's just business, baby. Like, I don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. Like, that's their business. Maybe the hoods were shitty at their job. Maybe, Deb was shitty at her job. Paul runs this amazing convention. He clearly knows what he's doing. Like, what do I care? I'm excited to go to MagFest again.
I guess what I would say to that is a few things. A, there are two sides of every story, right? And I will fully admit, I know my friend's side of the story. I surely do not know Paul B's side of the story. I'm not friends with him. I've never talked to him. But what I can tell you is that I know these people. I trust these people. I work with these people. And I don't even mean in the sense of like, oh, I see them once a year at a convention. No, I work with these people. We put shows on. They have put us on stages. They have worked with us through a freaking pandemic. I trust these people. If my friend comes to me and says, this is wrong, and I'm going to believe them. So you are allowed, however, to make up your own mind. I am just giving you information. You are allowed to take it as you will. And again, I use the Chick-fil-A example, right? I don't know everything that the CEO of Chick-fil-A does, right?
Right.
What I do know is that they tend to have a history of taking money from profit and donating it to anti-LGBTQA organizations. I don't want my money to become part of the money that is donated.
Right.
So that's how I view this. You have certainly every right to attend MagFest. You do not have to listen to me. You do not have to listen to any of this because that is your God-given right as American. And it's your money and it's your decision. And if that is the decision you choose to make, I don't know if we're going to be friends. I don't know if I want to chill with you, but that, you are certainly entitled to your opinion. And that's really where I leave it. If anyone was to say anything such as like Deb or the hoods or whatever, not good at their job, I will tell you that is utter bullshit. Just because I have seen the amount of work and energy and passion these people pour into these positions. So, and the other point of view I would make is that Paul has not been with MagFest very long. So whether he's doing a great job or not, that is not up for me to decide. But when I continually hear negative things from people who work with him, and I know these people are good, hardworking people whom I trust, I tend to believe their opinion,
Here, let me come at you from a different angle.
Yeah, sure.
Twill Distilled, this is like just another example of cancel culture. Everyone's jumping on the bus here. They want to cancel something they don't know what they're talking about. And like, you're just participating in cancel culture.
Again, people are certainly welcome to their opinions. The first thing I would challenge is, who are we to define what is and is not cancel culture? I would say, in a sense, this is not cancel culture. If you find out about somebody doing something that is terribly wrong and is harmful and is not good, don't we have a civil obligation to each other to stand up and say something? I mean, MAG is literally in the DMV area. We're in the DC metro area, and we hear all the time at the metro. So maybe part of this is just because I've heard this ever since I was a child. If you see something, say something. This isn't, oh my God, I can't believe Cardi B rapped about vaginas, and she shouldn't be a rapper. Like, this is a problem within a multi-million-dollar organization that my friends work for.
Right.
And, I know obviously this is not Nazi Germany or anything, super dramatic, but I'm going to read the quote. First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out for the trade unions because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me, right?
So true.
Granted, you know, it's nowhere near as bad as Nazi Germany, right? But in my opinion, if I know that somebody is doing something bad to my friends that I do not agree with, and I think it is wrong, if I do not speak up and try to help correct and fix the issue, I am just as bad as the people perpetuating the issue. That is how I honestly feel about it.
That's so true. That's such a good point.
You know, obviously I am in no way saying that MagFest is not.
No.
Like, you know, like clearly it is not that bad. Or there would not even be a mag pack. I'd just be like, I'm done. You know, I'd just be like, I'm out. Okay, bye. But you know, I really, really believe in that quote. I really, really do. And I don't know, you know, I've always been someone where if there's something wrong, you speak up. You know,
right.
If you see someone getting bullied, you speak up and say, you know, hey, you're bullying them. Stop that. Is that cancel culture?
Right.
You know, if there's a corrupt government, you know, that's taking over their country and they're doing something wrong and they're hurting their citizens, and you say, hey, this is unhumane and unethical, is that cancel culture?
Right.
No. You know, like I get it, right? There's a fine line that we have to tread here, because cancel culture can be very toxic and it can be very, I get it, right? I understand there is a line, but I don't think this movement and I don't think this community is participating in cancel culture. It's, hey, we've been part of this community for years and continually people are getting hurt. Nobody is listening to us. Nothing is getting done about this. Nothing is being solved. We need to come together as a community to fix this. You know, and it's not outright cancel culture, because we're not saying we're going to cancel MagFest forever. Like, we're saying, hey, here are the issues. Let's fix MagFest so we can come back even better and stronger. Not MagFest is dead. It's dead in the water. It's done forever. Peace out. You know, pour some of my 40 out. Like, no. Sorry, I get very passionate.
You kind of talked about this a little bit, but I'll just return back to it. So like, why stick with MagFest? Why not start like a whole new, like fresh convention and just like not even have to deal with those people? Well, I will tell
you, as much as I want to start my own convention with blackjack and hookers, sorry, that has been the joke going around all week. I couldn't help. Starting a convention is very hard. I'll be upfront with you. It is something that I have thought about. It is something that my friends and I have thought about. There have been conversations aplenty. And honestly, this is how a lot of conventions start. A lot of times people kind of, I don't want to say jump ship, but people kind of get tired or burnt out of organization and they're like, you know what? This isn't for me. I'm going to start my own convention. Honestly, so much power and so many props to those people. I think it's fantastic. If you have the resources, energy, and time to do that, more power to you. And I wouldn't be surprised if there are, you know, conventions that end up popping up out of this. I think it's a little hard to kind of gauge and do that right now, especially with the pandemic going on. But for me personally, the reason why I am not doing that is I just do not have the time, energy, resources to do it. I have definitely seen conversations online about people considering and contemplating starting their own thing up, which, you know, again, more power to you. It is hard to run a convention. I've been going to conventions since I was 5 years old.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I understand what it means to run every position of a convention. I have had families who have worked all the way from entry-level volunteers. I've known people who are con chairs. I understand the work that goes into a convention. It's not something as simple as, I'm going to start a convention. Like, it's really not. It is so much easier said than done. And there's so much power, you know, so much work that goes into it. So again, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if people want to start their own thing, awesome. Do you? That is your right as an American citizen. Do what you want to do, baby doll. Like, you go get him, slugger. You know, for me though, part of the reason why I want to stick with MagFest is that there's just so much potential, and outside of these issues with staff, it really is a great community, and there really is just a spark, and there's magic, and there's spirit that I've never seen anywhere else, quite honestly, you know, and like I said, I've been going to cons since I was 5. I've been to itty bitty cons where there's maybe 100 people. We've performed all the way up to Dragon Con last year. So MagFest is a beast of its own. It's its own unique character. And while I think it's incredible that some people will probably want to start their own event out of this, finding your own unique individuality as a convention is not something that is very easy to do. And MagFest, the community, I would say, of MagFest has done that very well.
Right.
And it's not a community or a character, I guess I should say, that I'm willing to let go. Yeah.
this isn't necessarily like a question, but I just wanted to bounce this anecdote off of you.
Okay.
So actually, I will start with a question. Have you seen Borat 2?
I have not, and I really need to.
Oh my God.
I have not.
Well, hopefully this anecdote pushes you to see it. I loved it. I love Borat 1. I love Borat 2. So there is a scene. It's hard to spoil Borat. I don't know. There's not much of a plot. I mean, there is, but so Borat is like going to the Republican National Convention in a scene, and he's basically Mike Pence is there, and
A plus. I already like where this is going.
So Borat is trying to sneak his way in. So first he like tries to like look normal. So he comes in a KKK outfit, and then he dresses up like Donald Trump, and he bursts into like this part where Mike Pence is speaking to a large audience, and he like is offering this woman up to Mike Pence, and you know, he causes a disruption, and they get him out of the arena, and they arrest him. And as I'm watching the scene, I realize that this is taking place all at the Gaylord.
The Gaylordia.
So, and I'm like, oh my God. So like Borat's getting arrested, and I'm like, that's Chip Stage. And then like he's offering this woman, and I'm like, that's Main Stage. Like,
right. I just, side note real quick, I just feel like one of these days there's gonna be a Gaylord employee who's gonna come out with a book.
My
stories
God.
of the Gaylord, right? And it's just gonna be like one week we were dealing with really crazy adults with bright colored hair and who played way too many video games. And the next week, I swear to God, in the same space, a KKK rally was taking place. They're gonna have the number one
God.
selling book.
Literally, God bless them.
I cannot stress enough for the people listening to this who go to MagFest and will continue to go to MagFest regardless of the outcome of all of this social takeover. Please tip those people.
Oh my God.
They probably haven't seen their family enough.
They work so hard.
They work so hard. Please tip those people. They probably have seen enough to keep them in therapy for years.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
Okay, now I'm side drifting, but like I remember,
I'm so sorry.
Like the day, so we stayed like an extra day last MagFest. We stayed like an extra day to like clean up because I was like volunteering, and like it was like they switched things over so fast. I think it was like they switched it over for like this yoga, health, nutrition convention, and I was like, I did not recognize any of the people there. Like I did not recognize where I was. They like changed it over so fast. It did, and it looked like their convention. It looked nothing like our convention.
Right.
So yes, it is so impressive what they are doing. But
it is so hilarious when you go to MagFest or any event like at the Gaylord, because every so often I'll go to KatsuCon too.
Cool.
And you can so tell who the normal guests at the hotel are compared to convention attendees, or like people who stayed like a few days late past their event or got there early, and they just look like, where am I? Like,
oh my God.
Take your Gaylord and play.
So I was telling my lead singer about this, and he was like, he has it on good authorities that like the Gaylord hosts, you know, like Richard Spencer, like Proud Boy events, like maybe not advertises Proud Boy events, but like events where Proud Boys would go to, and or you know, Richard Spencer, neo-Nazis, people were calling them like a few years ago, different groups of people, and he was kind of like wondering, like, here we are talking about all these toxicities within the community and MagFest, and nobody's kind of bringing up that like we're going to a place to celebrate, and then maybe 2 days later, you know, who's in that area? Like, should we be even supporting the Gaylord?
You know, I think it's one of those issues that really is not black and white. And what I mean by this is that there are a few things that go into, from my understanding, granted, I do not work on staff, from my understanding, that have kept us at the Gaylord the amount of time that we have been at the Gaylord. It's to my understanding that, first of all, there is a contract that they have signed, which I believe means that they are our venue for the next few years. Like, it's not like a one-year contract.
Right.
I believe they signed a multiple-year contract. The second issue I know, because many people I have seen on Discord and Reddit every year around MagFest and before MagFest, is we need to move out of the Gaylord because there's not enough hotel rooms. So I promise you that outside of the Proud Boy issue of Marriott hosting those events, the hotel has been an issue for a long time, and it's not just who they host, it's a lot of it's space and hotels and the hotel auto system. But the biggest argument that I've heard that is brought up continually is that the Gaylord allows us to run a 24-hour convention, whereas many other con spaces in this area do not. So it then becomes a logistic problem and a business problem where, do we move to a different location, but then you run the risk of losing the amount of attendees that we have because we're in the area? There have been talks about moving it to a different state. All speculation, nothing official, it's all, ramblings on Reddit and Discord. If you moved it to a different state or you moved it to a different venue, but every time somebody comes up with a perfect solution, it's never a perfect solution. Right. So I think, I obviously don't work on staff. I can't speak for staff. I can't speak for the board. I can't speak on behalf of the community. In my opinion, that's just one of the issues that we take on with Marriott. The Gaylord, I think they're owned by Marriott. I'm sorry, I keep saying Marriott. But at the same time, like, not to be a dick, that is their own personal business. It's not like MagFest gives money to the Gaylord so the Gaylord can support, Gaylord it's just a venue. It's a business. Right. People are allowed to go to this business and support them, give them money, and it's in the Marriott and Gaylord's best interest probably to stay natural to each party, even though I may not agree with it. Yeah. But that's their right. That's their right as Americans. So I may not agree with it. I think potentially Mag may grow to the point where they need to get a bigger venue. But like I said, it's not a black and white issue. There's a lot of issues that play into the venue.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me about a little bit about your experience with MagPact and like you kind of touched on this, but like what are some of the next steps you're gearing up for? Okay.
So experience so far has been mostly positive. It's just, a lot of social media, a lot of people hitting me up on Twitter, Facebook, email, and saying, how do I sign up? And I'm like, well, if you're interested, you're signed up. I take care of everything. And then moving forward, what I've done is I went ahead and laid out a document that got sent out to Friends of Mag. I explained what I was doing with everything and what the next steps for MagPact were. So I'll briefly go over that. And, so I'm waiting effectively to hear back from Friends of Mag because when I sent them this email and this document, I was saying, if there's anything listed here on this plan that you do not like or you would like us to change, like, this is the time to let us know.
Yeah.
So I wrote to them though and I said, I wanted to briefly explain what I'm hoping this pack will achieve. I feel like this is a problem with the BOD has been reoccurring issue for years. While I don't work on staff, I have plenty of friends who do. I see and I hear a lot of it. I feel like the issue at hand, however, gets ignored and the problem dies down. The general public never really hears about it, nor do they even know there's a problem with some of the members of the BOD. So my intent with the pact is two-tier. Tell the BOD that performing acts, staff, services will be standing together with you, Friends of Mag, and we will not be coming back to Mag events until Friends of Mag's terms are met, which you can read on friendsofmag.com. We will not be creating any extra terms. We are only here to support your wishes. and we will be using our social medias to help spread the word about what is currently going on. We hope this will encourage the general public to reach out to help Friends of MAG and continue to apply pressure to the BOD to make these final changes. To be direct, again, this pact isn't forever. All of us hope and wish to come back, but we will only do so if the situation for Friends of MAG and staff improves. We are hoping that with our combined reputations, profiles, and social media reach, the current four who are causing these issues will realize they must finally listen. And so what we're planning to do is we have a letter, which again was sent to Friends of MAG. They're looking it over. It will be a letter that will be made public. It will just pretty much state that we're coming together. It will be stand behind Friends of MAG. These are our terms, which are literally copy and pasted from Friends of MAG website. And we will not be coming back until the changes have been made. And then additionally, on our social medias, we will be posting some imagery to help direct people to go to the website, because with my experience of running social media, people tend to react better to a image than a wall of text.
Right.
So we're hoping that with everyone who signed, we're all gonna post about it on the same day, and hopefully this will help start the spread of information to the general public and other people who do not know about the situation but would probably like to know about the situation.
Right.
Yeah. So
and I'm gonna hit up another Twitter.
You're fine, yeah.
And this one you even told me about. Okay, so oh man, Twill Distilled. Like, this is so obviously a publicity stunt. Like, this is so shameful of you to like use this as a way to promote Wreck the System. So shame on you.
Well, first I will say, as we have said earlier in
I'm sorry.
interview, fronting. No, you're good.
Oh my god.
Fronting is never a good thing, and I believe I would be a bit of a punk if I was in a group called Wreck the System and I didn't aim to wreck the system. So
hell yeah.
Aside,
I love that.
Kidding aside, you know, if anything, I have everything, I should say. Sorry. I have everything to lose by doing this. I have effectively put a huge target on my back. I am publicly challenging one of the biggest conventions on the East Coast, and I guarantee you there are probably people paying attention to this. The other thing that I've been doing with this pact is nobody's name has been made public so far. Nobody's name has been made public so far. Nobody knows who has signed this so far. So if anything catastrophic or anything terrible happens, the only person who this falls on is me and my group. And I'm doing that to protect people. If I was really doing this for social media reach or engagement, I guarantee you it'd be a lot more annoying about it.
Right.
If you've seen our social media campaigns with the group, you'll know what I mean. You know, by doing this, I have pretty much, you know, signed away my right to ever perform or even attend a MAG event. And those are a majority of our events. You know, and there's probably people looking at me going, I don't know if I want to bring that troublemaker to our con. So,
right.
You know, this could very well explode in my face. This could very well not go well at all. And I understand that risk. And that was the risk I decided I was comfortable taking, as was my group. You know, this could go nowhere. This could do absolutely nothing, and that would be absolutely tragic. And I would have lost everything at that point. So to me, though, having people saying you're doing this for personal gain, blah, 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 blah. If anything, it's kind of like, oh gosh, I hope this is a positive sign of things to come, how big this has really become. And if anything, this is becoming a big community standing together. Hopefully it'll be big enough to make some real change, you know?
That's kind of interesting that it's like so anonymous. Since it's anonymous, like how do you think that it might be like making like Paul nervous, like since he really doesn't know who signed that. So like he doesn't know
right.
that
It won't always be anonymous. So that's the thing. You know, anyone who's obviously been like retweeting about it or talking about it and said, I signed this, like, you know, they've come forward, but that was them coming forward on their own accord. I haven't told anyone to come forward or anything like that. So he will eventually know the amount of people who have signed this, and their names will be made public. But part of this is that part of the reason I haven't come public with this so far is that I have been talking to Friends of Mag, and I want to make sure that Friends of Mag and Mag Pact are on the same page. So once those terms and conditions and everything is on the same page and they give me the okay, what I intend to do is I'm going to reach back out to everybody who has signed and said, okay, this is the graphic we're going to post. This is the letter that we're posting and sending to the BOD. If you do not want to participate anymore, this is your moment to quit.
Right.
You know, and I won't tell anyone you were ever involved, right? And I think that's only fair because people are putting their names and reputations at stake. But then at that moment forward, anyone who does officially formally sign on, they agree to all the terms and everything that myself and Friends of Mag have laid out for them. Those names will be made public at an agreed upon time, and he will know, and people will be able to hopefully see the amount of reach we are creating on social media.
Hell yeah.
So
I love that. You had kind of like said something earlier about like, I think this is amazing. I think this is going to have incredible impact, but you had kind of said like, this may go nowhere. Like, and especially, I don't know if this is a question either. I'm rambling. But like, especially like in 2020, which has been the year where like activism has really been tested. Like for me, like there are things that I've done this year and like things that I've said where I really believe them. But sometimes I'm kind of like, what's that extra? Was I being too much? Was, you know, what was I doing? Like not amounting to anything? Do I look stupid? Do, you know, the things that I'm trying to do that are like supposed to be positive, is it actually dumb and bad? I don't know if you have any bounce back on that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely been a few days this week where I'm like, oh, like, you know, I'll talk to people because like they ask questions, right? Like, hey, before I sign this, I kind of like want to know more, and I'll explain it to them. And some people will ask a really great question, and I'm like, you know, that's a great question. I hadn't thought about that. Let's figure it out. And then there's other people who I explain things to, and they're like, you're being really smart about this. And I'm like, I am, thank you. You know, and then I've had some people be like, well, you can't, blah, 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 blah. And that, you know, that just sends me down a whole well of doubt. And, you know, I talk to my husband, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? And he's like, you're fine. It's okay. Let me hold your hand and pat your head.
Oh man.
It's okay.
I love that.
So all of this to say is, you know, there are no perfect answers in life. You are never going to make everyone happy. You are never going to make everyone upset. You know, the only thing I feel like I can really do as Twill is be myself 100% and have no regrets. And, you know, walk the path that I think is correct and make the decisions that I think are correct and good. And if I realize, you know, that probably wasn't a good idea or that wasn't the right thing to do, there's absolutely no harm in ever saying, hey, for the record, that wasn't okay. I don't think this is one of those issues because the way that I view this is I'm standing up for my friends. And in my opinion, standing up for my friends and doing something that I believe is wholeheartedly good and the right thing to do, I cannot have any regrets about that. Because at the end of the day, even if this goes nowhere and I am blacklisted from every convention, you know, on the East Coast, at the end of the day, I stood up and I stood by my friends. And I let my friends know that I was willing to risk it all to tell the world that I love you and I have your back. And how can I ever have any regrets about that?
You are so cool. Oh my God.
No, I'm not cool. I'm not cool. I'm
No,
just
you
like
are.
30-year-old lady who raps about video games.
Oh my God. You are like, I just feel you. I just feel you.
Thank you.
Okay, I can't ask any questions about WTS, so I'll just leave it at, is there anything else that we didn't really cover about MagPact, and what can people do if they're interested in learning more about Friends of Mag or MagPact or signing up?
Yeah. Let's definitely talk about that. So if you are interested in knowing about what's going on at the situation, buckle up, boys and girls, because this is definitely not a light read. This is not first grade reading material. But I would highly encourage you to go to Friends of Mag, Friends of MAG, like Maggie.com, and read. Educate yourself, learn about what's going on, and try to understand this point of view from the people who have put this together. These are not just like random angry people. These are people who work tirelessly year-round to give you the best weekend of your year. That, first and foremost, is absolutely the first thing you should be doing. Learn and read about what's going on. If you want to get involved with Friends of Mag, or directly what they're asking us to do, there are actually things that they've suggested on their website. There's an email template to message the people who are causing issues at the top, and a whole bunch of other resources of what you can be doing solely with just you, yourself, and you on that website, which I think is awesome. If you would like to get involved with MagPact, the pack that I have started, it's really easy. Just shoot me an email at twilldistilled@gmail.com. I am literally the only Twill distilled on the planet, thank God. So if you Google me, you will find my crazy ass, and it will be very easy to contact me if you have any questions or anything. I'm an open book. I'd be more than glad to fill you in or explain a little bit better about what I'm trying to do. And there's absolutely no pressure to join. You're always welcome to ask questions and you go, you know what, this ain't for me, sorry, and that's your right. And then finally, the last thing you can be doing if you are interested is talk about it. Tell your friends about it. Ask them, are you aware of what's going on currently with MagFest? If you go to MagFest and you really, really love this community and really want to be involved, talk about it. Because the biggest problem, honest to God, other than these issues that are happening, is nobody knows about it.
Right.
And this is part of the reason why I finally came forward was this time when people finally talked about it, it was finally spreading wide enough.
It stuck, yeah.
A lot of people it stuck. People were finally picking it up, and finally, like, people who have always been quiet stopped being quiet. So I honestly think this is our best chance for change. So don't be quiet. Talk about it. If it bugs you, say something. If you see something, say something, So talk to your friends. Talk to your friends who go to cons. Talk to your fellow volunteers. Talk about it. If we're not quiet, if we're quiet, they can ignore us. If we continue to bring it up and challenge and make change happen, change will happen. Hopefully.